So the next step with the joiner is get the legs taken off. This actually went okay. I had to use one of my big SAE wrenches, and it came off fairly easily. Again, they were not super tight. They were just a little bit over hand tightened, and it came right off. There is a little bit of rust in between, but we can fix that. So yeah, first part's good. That actually didn't go too bad. Once again, there's these made-to-order bolts. You can see where the tap finished, and you can actually see scrapings the whole way up. The rest of the way was the test fit things. So that part's really cool. They're all the same size. They're 11/16 heads. I'm not sure what size the threads are. There's a little bit of rust in between here, and there's quite a bit of rust, but not horrid on the bottom. It's probably because it's cast iron and it rusts slightly slower than steel, luckily, because of the higher carbon content. But you can see it doesn't look like there was paint in between the surfaces, interestingly enough. But it does look like, well, you can still see the original machining marks, which again, I find cool. I know I say that every time, but it's cool every time. So that's very cool. It does look like there is rust in between, so I am probably going to paint in between there after I clean it up. And this one looks like it has some oil down in, or I should say WD-40 down in from when I was taking one of the handles off. It probably ran down into the crack. So again, you can see the machining marks on both sides and on the, let's see if I can get one stood up. No, not that way. Yeah, you can see it on the other side too. All the machining marks. So yeah, bits of rust from the paint where it got up under the paint, but that should clean up pretty nice. And you can see the bus, Muskegon, Michigan. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, so getting there. So now I'm starting to do the cleanup process. I started out with just the drill and the wire wheel, because I have a set of those that I got when I was doing the drill presses. The benefit of that is it has smaller wire wheels, so you can get into tinier spots than you can with the angle grinder. But I eventually decided, okay, I want to do the angle grinder. That goes faster, that has a bigger wire wheel, that'll go much quicker. And it did, it went much quicker. The drill is still really good for getting in small places, but for large surfaces like this has, especially with the thicker paint in some spots, the angle grinder is definitely the way to go. And you can see how much stuff's coming off with, you know, how dark it gets when I start vacuuming in between. But it actually was not too bad. It was a little bit of rust here and there, but it took it all off that as needed down to the bare metal. So that was all good. There you can see how dark the floor is where it wasn't vacuumed. Oh, the dust and stuff. You definitely need to wear eye protection like I'm doing, and the dust mask and all that stuff. And the reason I have the long sleeve shirt is you do not want to have bare skin if those little wire pieces come flying off the angle grinder, because that's enough that it will stick in cardboard off to the side. I learned that whenever I was doing the drill presses. So you want some protection. And here I'm just blowing off the dust and cleaning it off and blowing all that. And then I'm putting some bare metal primer on. I figure that's a good step. And I realize, you know what? I have something that makes spraying easier. That is so much more fun than pushing the button yourself. And then here I'm doing the other leg, and this time I'm starting with the angle grinder versus starting with the drill. I did learn. And again, it takes a bit, but you go through sides and it just takes everything off that you need to. So it's definitely good. It does catch and jump if you get to an edge, so if you're doing this yourself, be careful. Don't have stuff that can just fall over. Have it braced such that if it does catch, it doesn't fly over anywhere, especially if you're doing like with this, and you have a big heavy cast iron piece that you don't want to fall over and have smash on the floor. Brace it before you try and do it. I had it all braced, so I didn't have any problems, but it did move a little bit here and there. Like there you can see it move. There you can see it move. But it was up against, and it wasn't really going to fall over, so it worked pretty well. But yeah, it's lots of cleanup, because, that stuff gets everywhere. The paint plus any little bits of cast iron and rust that come off, yeah, it definitely makes a mess. And you notice here I also put a cardboard up to try and catch some of it so it didn't go back in between everything this time. And then there, just finishing up with the spray can. And I got so far, and at some point I realized I used up the rest of the can, like right there. I need to get my other can. Luckily I had another can. And then I was able to finish. So that all worked good. And now we're going for the blue. We're going for the same blue that we did on the drill presses. I think it looks awesome. My wife says, yes, I think you should go blue. So we're going to go blue. But again, I got partway through and I ran out of the can. So I looked around, found my other can, and then finished it off. And there you go. There's what it looks like from the front, or from the back, rather. And this is what it looks like from the front. It's going to need another coat, but it came out really cool.